Adam Price.
Dwi'n meddwl wrth I ni edrych.
I do think that as we look at this policy area, that it does make you feel particularly depressed, because this was the technology that had the potential for us to undo the disbenefits of being geographically peripheral or being located in a rural location. It was this technology that was supposed to provide the solution for rural business. But because of the lack of progress that's taken place, we are still in a disadvantageous situation as compared to the main centres of urban population in England and so on and so forth. And therefore we must have better leadership from the Welsh Government. And the system that we have, or the policy approach that we have, clearly isn't delivering. So, of course, the technology is moving forward constantly, and we will soon be talking about terabits. And if the Welsh Government truly wants Wales to be a testbed for driverless car technologies, for example, then we must move further ahead. So it's not through having an agreement or a contract with BT. That's not the best way of doing that, I would suggest. If we look at the figures, and we heard the Cabinet Secretary saying that Wales is forging ahead. Well, what planet is he on? We can't have a reasonable policy decision if we don't accept the reality of the situation. As the House of Commons Library has demonstrated, 7 out of 10 of the council awards which have the slowest connections in Wales are in Wales. 6 of them in the Mid and West Wales regional, one of them Llanfihangel Aberdyfych in my constituency. I saw that under an FOI request which was published last week, the information was published by the Welsh Government last week, and that demonstrates where we are in terms of the areas that have been connected under Superfast. And Ceredigion, it's only 68%, 68.9%, and these are your own figures, which were published last week. And we know that the average across the UK is 93 or 94%. That's for England, and it'll be 95% by the end of this year, and 98% according to the UK government by the end of this decade. But it's 68% in Ceredigion. What impact does the Welsh Government think that has on the viability of the economy in those areas? We must look at an alternative model, and it's interesting to see the alternative models that have succeeded, for example, in the United States, where hundreds of cities own their own telecommunications companies, many of them in areas such as Colorado and Kentucky, facing the same problems as our rural areas, and they've decided that enough is enough. We are not going to rely on major monopolistic companies. We're going to take the reins ourselves. Some of them partner with smaller local or regional companies, and some of them own their own companies, very similar to the old Kingston Communications in Hull, which was very successful, and very similar to what the Basque government did back in the 90s, having faced the same difficulties. And again, the Basque country government decided, well, rather than just handing out this money to a large private sector monopoly, why don't we invest our funds into our own company? And of course, Euskartel has proved that that investment was a wise move and paid off, because they have been able to make progress. And one of the committee recommendations, of course, is that the Welsh Government should look at these alternative models at all levels. There was a suggestion in the Western Mail last month that there was an opportunity in terms of this terabit infrastructure to generate investment which would mean that Wales, for once, would be in the vanguard.